Titans, the beings that the magical islands and island skins are located atop. What are they exactly? Where do they come from? What are they like? So to start, Titans are a specific group of island-sized beings. Basically, Titans are naturally large beings and are so large that they can keep an entire ecosystem of monsters atop their heads. This is different from colossals, who are instead spirits inhabiting a naturally occurring geologic island, much like a ghost haunting an object. So what defines their grouping? Are they genetically related to one another, like the classes of the monsters? Not that we know of, it's just that they share common characteristics with each other. These characteristics include an obsession with higher powers, not being colossals, and taking other islands' places. The Titans that we know currently, in order of their discovery, are the Verdant Harvard, the Lovecraftian Kraflaft, the Dandruff-covered Sweaty, the Scholarly Hahu, the Flourishing Facade, the Avian Gigacheep, the Osseous Necrol, the Gargantuan Glubber, the Bioluminescent Phosphora, and the Antlered Enchantler. These Titans may in fact be parts of larger species, but this entire franchise is honestly quite confusing on whether some things are species or individuals. Another characteristic that we know about Titans is that they have younger forms that are, often than not, much smaller than their fully grown adult selves. The Gargantuan Glubber's life cycles go from Glubpole to Glublet to Glubber, each diving deeper into the living ocean that they swim in. Gigacheep life cycles go from those little yellow chicks that you could hold in your hands to the absolutely titanic Gigacheep, and the Enchantler life cycle is suspected by many to go from Enchantling to Enchantler. However, Enchantling is only suspected to be related to Enchantler, with another hypothesis being that the Enchantling uses Monstromancy to mimic the look of the Enchantler. Remember Enchantling for later. We do not yet know where exactly the Titans originated from, but as a wise Mewtwo once said, "I see now that the circumstances of one's birth are irrelevant. It is what you do with the gift of life that determines who you are." So, what have these Titans done? We can separate the 10 Titans into two groups of 5. Harvard, Sweaty, Gigacheep, Glubber, and Hahu off to the one side, and Kraflaft, Facade, Necrol, and Phosphora, and Enchantler to the other. Let's look at this second group first. But let's just look at Enchantler for now. We'll get to the rest of them later. So remember how I mentioned Titans liking higher powers? Enchantler once wished to become a colossal. This task was nigh impossible, so upon its failure, the Enchantler fled to the Pocket Dimension to live alone, like the lost misfit that it is. This would lead to it gaining the title, the Titan who would be colossal. Now, let's transfer to the 4 other Titans in the group. Remember Enchantler for later. So, remember how I mentioned Titans liking higher powers? That is what unites Kraflaft, Facade, Necrol, and Phosphora. Their story starts in the deep reaches of space, far beyond the monster planet. An enigmatic entity known as the Stair-Shaper, who was known for traveling throughout galaxies and universes out in this space, had recruited these 4 Titans as disciples to its cause of multiversal sojournal. One day, the group found out about the monster world and the cataclysm that befell it and its colossal caretakers. During this cataclysm, the outer islands were raptured by the Prism Gate. The Stair-Shaper sent the Titans to integrate themselves into the monster world and take the places of these outer islands. Kraflaft went where Space Island was, Facade went where Cloud Island was, Necrol went where Cave Island was, and Phosphora went where Party Island was. Although, since Party Island was on a moving fish called a Glubpole, Phosphora instead follows the same migratory path as the Glubpole, which Party Island sat atop swam, and is led along this path by the Aurora Monstralis. Remember this Glubpole, it'll be important for later. The Stair-Shaper, like to the Colossals, shares a penchant for both creation and music. So between it and its disciples, the Stair-Shaper created monsters of the magical class, and gifted a specific element of the class to each of the new islands, representing their union between each other and the one whom they follow. Kraflaft got the Psychic monsters and became Psychic Island, Facade got the Fairy monsters and became Fairy Island, Necrol got the Bone monsters and became Bone Island, and Phosphora got the Light monsters and became Light Island. These magical monsters would then need a home where they can come together in unity. Now, while Stair Shaper was planning basically that, it took too long to fully realize this plan, and Enchantler, who felt similarly left out and quite frankly had nothing better to do, beat it to the punch. Enchantler got some help from a group of ghasts in the ethereal meadow, and they remotely teleported the magical singles to Enchantler's head, upon which they bred to create the magical hybrids, chief among them being the aforementioned Enchantling, the quad-elemental hybrid of all 4 magical elements. And finally, Enchantler has become an island named Magical Sanctum, much like the Colossals which it was trying to become in the first place. Now, in the Mirror timeline, the 4 main magical titans still exist and are known as the Mirror Magical Islands. So what's different about them, you might ask? So remember how I mentioned titans liking higher powers? The Stair Shaper, always a fan of exploring new galaxies and realms, gazes into the Prism Dimension, where the remains of the ancient Outer Islands still clutter, floating endlessly. It decided to condense the remains of each island into a sort of meteor and shoot them out into the Mirror timeline to fuse with each of its Mirror disciples, creating the Mirror Magical Islands. Each island was struck, some lighter than others, and half of each titan's face was conformed to the fit of the outer island that had glided into them. Mirror Light Island has fused with Party Island, and due to there being a glub egg in the debris, now shares its body with the soul of a glubpole. Mirror Psychic Island was fused with Space Island, and so its exoskeleton has been thrust open, and the underlying soft tissue has been replaced with stone, as well as its right eye. Fairy Island was fused with Cloud Island, and its collision was by far the softest, as though a soft cotton ball were enveloping it. Bone Island was fused with Cave Island, and Necro's eye cavity, usually being filled with crystals like a geode, got filled with even more and larger crystals. It also gained a fungal infection in its right ear. Now, the other 5. Harvard, Sweaty, Gigacheap, Glubber, and Tahoo. So, remember how I mentioned titans liking higher powers? These 5 titans revered the natural islands and their colossals, and each lives so close to a respective natural island that they share a pin on the map. Harvard is near Plant Island, and its island's name is Vegetable Medley. Sweaty is near Cold Island, and its island's name is Sweaty Settlement. Gigacheap is near Air Island, and its island's name is Gigacheap Nest. Glubber is near Water Island, and its island's name is Glubber Lagoon. Hahoo is near Earth Island, and its island's name is Temple of Hahoo. This group of natural titans is much less known, as we only really have one story of them together. A note becomes a monster. I won't be reading the entire script of the video here, but if that's something you'd like to see, let me know. So, remember how I mentioned titans liking higher powers? Due to these titans revering the natural colossals, they wish to, well, Harvard wished to create life of their own. After all, if the colossals could do it, why couldn't they? Hearing about the spark of life that had recently been harnessed on Wublin Island, Harvard took a collection of 7 special items, and together with a little life formula, the objects came into a life entirely their own. These 7 monsters, known collectively as the Dipsters, only sang one note at a time. Slightly ashamed of their works, as the dip-filled song was very unusual, the Titans kept the monsters far underground behind locked doors, waiting to be unlocked with the proper key. However, Harvard was hopeful that these Dipsters would one day prove the other Titans wrong and eventually form their own wonderful song. These natural Titans have yet to be seen in the Mirror timeline, but since Dipsters are as present there as they've ever been, they're unmistakably around there somewhere. And maybe Wublin Island too. Nice implication, Joey B. Recently, the Titans have all been awakening, each group through their own separate method. For the magical Titans, the Stair Shaper decided to create a physical way to show its bond between it and them. The Titan Soul. A physical, monster-sized manifestation of the respective Titan that can play in song with the monsters atop its head. The Titan Soul can exercise a stunning amount of power over its environment, controlling the body of the Titan to make its song, as though it were an omnipotent orchestrator. These flower monster things are able to link with the souls of the island's respective monsters, and uses this solar power to awaken their respective Titan. The natural Titans are able to wake up by using the colossi, ancient pillars linked to the consciousness of the colossals. For example, Harvard can be awoken by using the colossi of Plant Island. Enchantler has always been able to wake up. Well, ever since Enchantling was added. Isn't it cool that it doesn't need, like, any outside assistance to wake up? Unless... Wait, is Enchantling a Titan soul? And, just because it's a cool visual, here's what all of the current awakenings look like. Harvard. Sweaty. Gigacheap. Blubber. Hahoo. Enchantler. Phosphora. Kravlaft. Facade. Necrol. Although the Colossi are not present in the Mirror timeline, and neither are the natural Titans, the 4 main magical Titans and their Titan souls are. Since half of their face is much different than it otherwise would be, the eye on that half of the face looks very different when opened. Mirror Phosphora's right eye is that of a globpole, and I believe Mirror Krovlaf's is the central moon of Space Island. Mirror Phosphora. Mirror Kravlaft. Mirror Facade. Mirror Necrol. At least once a year, or multiple times if they've got enough cash, the magical Titans, yes, even Enchantler, get to wear festive costumes. This is because the monsters on their head celebrate several holidays and they love to decorate their environments. Magical Sanctum celebrates Crescendo Moon, which is based on the Lunar New Year. During this event, so remember how I mentioned Titans liking higher powers, and how Enchantler wanted to become a colossal? Well, as a part of the observance of the Crescendo Moon, Enchantler goes through a beautiful makeup transformation to honor its dreams of becoming a colossal. As a part of the observance and its costume, Enchantler also does not open its eyes. Light Island celebrates sky painting, which is based on, general celebration events, things that just happen to have fireworks at them. Yeah, totally. It's also a very color-oriented event. As such, the monsters of Light Island set off brilliant fireworks and decorate Phosphor with radiant kaleidoscopic decorations. The Aurora Monstralis above the island also turns into the Prism Gate, which it can do, and bathes Light Island in every color of the spectrum. In an attempt to not step on the toes of the mystical phenomena, Phosphor is also known to dim its own bioluminescent lights. Also, its eyes just happen to turn blue for some reason. Psychic Island celebrates Mind Boggle, which is based on going back to school. To help the monsters learn, as it's an avid supporter of the cause, Kravlaft summons loads of bookshelves, as well as the books to fill them, because it can do that apparently. Fairy Island celebrates Cloverspell, which is based on St. Patrick's Day. The vernal equinox, also known as the spring equinox, causes the usual cloud cover that surrounds the island to clear away, and Facade trades its usual mask for a colorful green version. The equinox also allows trefoil trees to grow, and the general magic of the event allows the dormant rocks of the island to get up and move. Wonderful rainbows also spawn to liven the landscape. Bone Island celebrates the Beat Hereafter, which is based on Dia de los Muertos, or the Day of the Dead. Necrol dresses itself up with large discs placed over its eye cavities and large guitars in the back. As the soil of Necrol's bony scalp is really only good for growing Sympasucial, the monsters instead make metal flowers to decorate the landscape, and sugar deposits within the surrounding caverns are used to craft sugar skulls. Now, as we come to the end of the video, let's finish it off with some random fun facts for each of these titans. Harvard has literal ears of corn. It also whacks monsters with its long stalks to deter them from eating its body. As the ancient text says, quote, "Please do not be eating my body," end quote. Harvard has also been mentioned to have more members of its species, and that they, as well as many other of the titans, wander around the monster world. This means that these natural titans are probably natives, unlike the magicals. Sweaty snow is actually dandruff. It'll probably beat me up if it knows that I told you that. Sweaties are occasionally climbed, which is what the colorful safety flags are for. The temples around the Sweaty settlement are very useful for protecting said climbers from any scratching-induced dandruff avalanches. Gigacheep are only seen once in a monster's life, if it's lucky. Gigacheeps only host monsters on their heads once their younglings have fled the coop. The vacant nests of their younglings are home to many 1, 2, and 3-star hotels. While there are many Glubbers, this specific Glubber actually grew up from the same Glubpole that used to carry Party Island. All Glubbers, Glublets, and Glubpoles live in and around the Glubber Lagoon. This has caused Glubbers to be known as good parents. The Glubber Lagoon is located by swimming from the middle of the living ocean towards the shore, which is a rather strange task given the shape of the planet. The Glubber Lagoon has a unique chemical composition due to the Glubber's natural secretions, allowing unique vegetation to grow there. Glubbers are known to value treasure above all else, and they hide these treasures within their many bivalve clamshells, foremost among them being the Gift of Glub, which is thought to be different from person to person, much like the gift from the Wizard of Oz. Some other treasures that the Glubbers have hoarded over the years, although they've been ruined due to their time underwater, have since become perfect hiding spots for shy sea creatures. Hahu carves all Monster World history on its body, as it is a stone scribe. However, it's in a language that we cannot yet read. The sands of Hahu's temple hold many intriguing artifacts. Hahu is this titan's given name. Its species are called stone scribes. In fact, Hahu's real name might not actually be Hahu, as that was probably just a name given to it by the prankster. Hahu has 4 eyes. They used to be more animated before Colossi support was added. Hahu and Phosphora both retroactively closed their eyes after the ability to open their eyes was added. Phosphora might share a homeworld with the globes, that being the prism dimension. Phosphora's many nodules spring out from the pores on its head, much like human hair. These nodules are born in ochre pores, and they are in the prime of their development in cyanopores, where they give off both light and heat. Cyanopores hold nodes that will never breach the surface, and, in some rare instances, clusters of pores, known as glorifices, will sometimes breach the surface together. Whenever a fully growing node cannot breach the surface, it is known as an ingrown node because it can be heard groaning. If it's let go on long enough, it eventually becomes an angrown node where it grumbles and whines even more. In the rare case that a node does breach the surface but can't break through, the pore makes a pattern called an Xbox. Phosphora is constantly wandering, never having a settled location. It used to be more carefree, going wherever it wanted, until it noticed that the monsters on its head needed the Aurora Monstralis for their well-being. Now, for the sake of the monsters, it follows the Aurora. Much like Phosphora's nodules, Kruvlaft also has tentacles that breach its surface. The eyes of Kruvlaft that make up the rocks of Psychic Island are mostly far-sighted. The central eye of Kruvlaft used to be closed, back when it was still called Fire Frontier. The Fire Frontier wordmark even displays the closed nature of the eyes at the time. The floating eyes that surround Kruvlaft also used to be way more shy during the Fire Frontier era too. These floating eyes, while linked to Kruvlaft, are also known to be linked to the Periscorp monster, so maybe Periscorp also has a link back to Kruvlaft. Psychic Island is in a low Earth orbit, or a low Taurus orbit, and Fairy Island is floating in the sky. Facade is encircled by rings of a mushroom forest, as well as heavy cloud cover. Facade has several magical minerals within its mines. These minerals are Tacitrine, Pacifier, Tickle Pink, Ephemerald, and Ruby Beauty. Necrol has a favorite radio station. It's Clastic Rock. Nobody really knows where all the piles of bones surrounding Necrol come from. Bone Island is the deepest island in the monster world. Enchantler is located in a forest of alien trees in the Pocket Dimension. Enchantler is covered in skin tags due to overexposure to the Pocket Dimension's strange environment. The Rubble Rough path may have been left on Enchantler by Stareshaper. The fur and antlers of Enchandler are known to sometimes glow with monstrumantic energy, leaving the area tender. Enchantler's pores are also known to clog up, making a large comedo. Dipsters, who are known for tunneling underground, while they are on Titans, they do not harm them while they do this. They instead tunnel through the Titan's already carved out porous system.